Hi, I'm Darryl Learie, and this video is about my legacy. Legacy is very important to me for two reasons. The first reason is that I want there to be a record of my existence, or a record that I existed. And the second reason, perhaps less important reason, is that as an animal or a primate with the capacity for consciousness, I want people to know that I lived and experienced life. And that within that life, I had personal achievements that were meaningful to me. My full name is Darryl Wayne Wellington Learie, and I was born in Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada, back in 1973, December 6th, at 4:45 p.m. I'm going to start by sharing with you 3 self-published books that I've worked on and put together that include most of my life's work and my legacy. The first book I wanted to share is my book of photography, Darryl Learie Photography, the 5th edition. I self-published the 5th edition back in 2026, March 20th. This book includes 163 pages and has an average of two photos that I've taken per page. It illustrates the very best of my amateur photography. This book includes different types of photography: macro photography, wildlife photography, 3D photography, 360 photography, astrophotography, and a few other different types. It also includes photographic concepts that I personally invented that I wanted to showcase within this book. The purpose behind this book, aside from illustrating the very best of my amateur photography, was to capture beauty within the world, or try to create beauty using my creativity and share that beauty with the world. I have created a digital copy and uploaded that digital copy to the Internet Archive. The Internet Archive is the Museum of the Internet. It is my gift to the world, and I hope that the world appreciates it. My way of trying to add some beauty to the world. The second self-published book that I wanted to share with you is my personal records book, 10th edition. It's a big book. It's in a 5-inch binder, and every page is in a protected sheet protector, plastic sheet protector. And I created this book back in 1993, September 10th. And I published the 10th edition on 2026, April 1st. This book documents 1,019 personal records. Those are personal records in athletics, cognition, emotional, and circumstantial. This book is not just me at my personal best. This book illustrates both extremes of my life, from the very worst to the very best. So it's not just a book of look what I can do, or a book of me bragging about my accomplishments, as it shows me at my very best, and it also shows me at my very worst within my life. It shows my life at its best, and it shows my life at its worst. It's my hope that researchers will consider my personal records book as a case study, because my book documents, it's like a longitudinal case study spanning over 3 decades, and it documents overcoming adversity for somebody who has generalized anxiety, depression, ADHD, and is on the autism spectrum. And it covers multiple domains of my life. The records are in many different themes, and it's my great hope that at least some records will appeal to most everyone, because people have different interests. The book has just over 440 pages, and I'll give you a quick glimpse into the format. So that's basically the how the book looks inside. And each record, all 1019 records, have an index number, a record name, a personal record, a date achieved, and a W5, the who, what, where, and why. Also includes links, internet links, so that people can further verify my personal accomplishments. This book includes all of my personal life accomplishments. But again, it also shows both extremes of my life, from the very best to the very worst, from the good to the ugly. This work is, most of my legacy is in this book. Over 3 decades. The third book I wanted to share with you is my compilation of personal writing. And this book, it's a newer book, features the very best of my writing from 1995, April 1st, going forward. So it's not all my writing, it's the very best of my writing. And it has different types of writing. It has poetry, it has stories that are fiction, stories that are non-fiction, and also includes essays that I have written. So the point of this book really is to capture my thoughts, my beliefs, my ideology, my concerns, my life story, my struggles, my journey, and share that with the world. So the first 2 books, my photography book and my personal records book, I have digital copies of both those books, and I have uploaded them to the Internet Archive so anyone can download and view them. And they're also on my personal website, darryllearie.com, www.darryllearie.com. I wanted to share 3 certificates that have the most meaning to me. Back in 2011, February 9th, I achieved my first Guinness World Record on City TV breakfast television. I blew up 446 balloons in 1 hour. That's blowing up the balloons and tying them off. And the balloons had to be 20 centimeters. That was the criteria. This is a copy of my Guinness World Record certificate. So you can see there. This is a copy as I keep the originals in a safe place. I printed off the copies on photographic paper. The second certificate I wanted to share with you is my Ripley's Believe It or Not certificate. And this was for achieving 11 one-arm push-ups on a raw egg without breaking the egg. And again, this is just a copy. The original is in a safe place. And I received this 2012, September 1st. So I've been recognized by both Guinness World Records and Ripley's Believe It or Not. The third certificate I wanted to share with you, and perhaps the most meaningful, was presented to me by my MLA, Sharif Haji of Edmonton Decor. And this certificate recognizes my petition effort. I had started a paper petition with 5,674 signatures that was tabled in the Alberta Legislature on 2026, April 14th. And the reason that this is probably the most meaningful is that the petition was part of my strategy or part of my intent to create a more compassionate society. I was trying to stop the transition of people on the AISH program, Assured Income for the Severely Handicapped, from being transitioned onto the Alberta Disability Assistance Program, ADAP, where they would have less income, less benefits, and no appeal process. So I was fighting to maintain the same quality of life or better for people who are too disabled to work. So that is probably the greatest achievement in my life, because it was a real world contribution to society. My petition as well as my name were officially recorded in the Hansard, which is the official Alberta legislative record. And future policymakers and decision makers and researchers and journalists will be able to look up my petition in the Hansard and learn about policy and how marginalized groups are affected by different policies. And yeah, it was a really meaningful contribution, so I was really proud of that. Next, I'll share the 5 books that I'm published in. The first book I was published in is the Record Setter Book of World Records. Again, Record Setter is a website where people would go to set unique world records. The idea was that anybody could have a world record because anybody had a unique enough skill set to have their own world record. And I am on page 86. And you can probably see my name there. It references my one-arm push-ups on an egg. Bit of glare, but yeah, you can see that. So that's the Record Setter Book of World Records. And I was published in that book on let's see here, 2011, November 1st. That's when I was published in my very first book, 2011, November 1st. The second book I was published in, The Ripley's Believe It or Not, Download the Weird hardcover book, the 9th annual hardcover book. And I was published in this book back on 2012, September 1st. And I am on page 160. And there you can see my one arm push up on an egg without breaking the egg. And what's really cool about this is that within the Ripley's Believe It or Not museums, they keep a copy of each of their books. So technically, I'm in the Ripley's Believe It or Not museum. The third book I'm published in is Horrid Henry's World Records. And I'm published on page 103, where it talks about my blowing up 446 balloons in 1 hour. And I was published in this book back on 2013, September 12th. The fourth book I was published in is the Mammoth Book of Weird Records. And I was published in this book in 2015, July 7th. And I'm on page 367. For most one-arm push-ups on a raw egg. My personal record is 16, but at the time, it was documented at 11 one-arm push-ups on a raw egg without breaking the egg. And the fifth book that I'm acknowledged in is Mickey Gooch's Balancing the World on One Finger. Now, I guess technically I'm published in this book because my name is in this book, but I'd like to say that I was acknowledged in this book. Mickey Gooch is one of my Facebook friends, and my name appears on page 294. You can probably see that. Another meaningful part of my legacy that I wanted to mention is that from 2022, September 6th to 2024, August 6th, I had donated blood 11 times. The reason that I stopped at 11 was because I became very anemic, and it has taken me a long time to build up my blood iron levels to a healthy level. But of course, donating blood is a very personal and very meaningful and one of the greatest gifts you can give the world. And I was able to leverage the experience in such a way that I had interviews on a couple radio shows, and I was able to talk about blood donation on those radio shows, urging people to donate blood. This video is more for me than it is for you, but I hope somebody watches. Thank you for watching. I'm Darryl Learie.